I want people to be more familiar with that cuisine because it's a beautiful cuisine and it's a healthy cuisine, and I feel like in the United States, depending where you are, people don't know how to eat that well. So,
shout out, shots taken.
I was on a roll this entire interview.
What?
You're listening to the Taste Podcast. I'm Editor-in-Chief Matt Rodbard, here with Senior Editor Anna Hezel.
On today's show, we have Ori Menashe and Genevieve Gergis, owners of two of the buzziest and most influential restaurants in Los Angeles, Bestia and Bavel. They're also the authors of the new Bestia cookbook. Later on the show, we'll be talking to Deb Perelman from Smitten Kitchen, and she will be answering a question from Reader. By the way, if you have questions for us, leave them in the comments on Apple Podcasts, and we will answer them. But Matt, what did you and Ori and Genevieve talk about when you hung out in L.A.?
Ori, what a dude. Genevieve as well. They're cool together. What a cool conversation we had in L.A. in their restaurant. Ori tells me about his time in the Israeli army and how it informed the way he runs his kitchen at Bestia and Bavel. It's a cool story.
The thing I hear about over and over again is the bread at Bavel. I haven't had it, but people go crazy for the bread.
Yeah, for sure. That bread is really good. Also, what's really good is this massive fireplace in the center of the restaurant. We talk about what smoke and heat does to his cooking and how it injects umami into these dishes, which was really interesting. We don't really talk about smoke and heat and umami being interlaced. He makes a really strong statement about that. It's fascinating, Anna.
Here's Matt talking to Ori and Genevieve.
Ori Menashe, Genevieve Gergis, thank you for joining the Taste Podcast. I want to hear about a couple things, but first, Ori, you said a quote in 2014, "I am a workaholic. I am also a familyaholic." Is that still the case after opening a second restaurant?
Yeah, it is still the case. I mean, I'm a workaholic, but right now I'm focused on work, obviously, because we just opened a new restaurant, so it's difficult for me to give more of my time at home, but I'm in the progress of figuring out how to do that.
Process.
Genevieve, what do you think about that?
What did I say?
Progress.
Progress of getting to that point.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah?
If you're Israeli, then it's correct. If you're American, probably not.
Probably not. I love the way that you guys are interacting. It's so great. I think it's like clearly you have a really tight relationship, right? You're very like you do everything together. Is that right? Or do you have like your own moments where you're separate?
We have our own moments, of course, like I think, which is healthy. But we are together, I think, more than the average couple, for sure.
For sure. I mean, any spare time we have because we work so much is together.
I mean, like, how do you relax, the two of you, when you have these two restaurants and children?
My thing is massage once a week. It's going to be an hour and a half to 2 hour massage, or a jog. Every work day, I go jogging in the morning, and it will be between 5 to 8 miles, just to kind of de-stress from what is going to happen later in the day.
Yeah. What are you listening to? What music?
Heavy metal. Listen to Korn, System of a Down, Deftones, Nine Inch Nails, Tool.
Genevieve, you're making a face.
Oh,
I want to
God.
describe it as the finger in the throat gagging kind of pantomime. I think that's what you're doing.
I guess so.
What's your issue with System of a Down?
Oh, no.
It's too loud for her.
No, it's just, what is it?
She played classical music.
I don't even know what it is.
She played professionally classical music
I see.
most of her life. So,
But I do like a large variety of music, just not that. He likes all that Smashing Pumpkins stuff. I just can't.
Okay, so shout out your artist.
Anything else but that.
you like Cleo, right?
Kaleo from Iceland. I mean, I like old stuff. I like, Led Zeppelin and Bob Dylan and
I like that too.
All those things too, and CCR, because who doesn't? And then I do listen to like the Black Keys, or like he said, but I like old school. I like older rap, like Biggie, Tupac, who doesn't,
of course,
Snoop Dogg. But I just can't. I'm not really good with pop, like modern pop. Like I guess you would say like all those things. I don't even know them, but I just know from seeing in the news, maybe like Selena Gomez or whatever.
Yeah.
I can't stand
I'm going to
pop.
guess Selena Gomez has been to your restaurant. I'm just going to say, like, she's probably been
That's
here.
really mean then that I said that.
I mean, guys, like this restaurant, both of your restaurants attract all of these people you're throwing shade at. Just saying that.
That's terrible.
I'm joking. I mean, you don't have...
know that my husband will listen to it, so there's that consolation. I'm just saying that it's just not my style.
Okay. Ori, I wanted to talk to you about serving in the Israeli army and how that informed your career path as a chef. I mean, did you take a lot from that experience into, choosing this profession? Were you cooking in the army at all?
I mean, for me, the army was good for how I structure things in the kitchen and creating that discipline. So I think in that way it helped me a lot with my career. Other than that, I mean, the army pulled me out of being a troubled kid.
Is that right?
Oh, for sure.
You needed like the shit kicked out of you a little bit?
100%, because my parents weren't able to do it.
Where'd you grow up?
In Ramat HaSharon in Israel.
Is that a Mashav? Is that a
it's between Herzliya and Tel Aviv.
Oh, okay. What were you doing in the army? What was your
I had a couple different jobs. I don't know if you know the term jobnik. Jobnik is someone that's not in combat, and I wasn't in combat because of my profile being lower because of asthma.
Oh, right. Yep.
So I was in the police academy in the beginning, and then after that I was in near Tel Aviv in a base that was pretty simple. That was the base that would send all the new soldiers into their different jobs. So I did my rest of my career there.
2 years?
3 years.
Oh, 3 years. Wow. And then you got out of the army, and what was the next step for you?
Then I moved here. Yeah. I made some money, and I went on a trip to South America. So I was in Brazil, Chile, and Argentina. Traveled there for 11 months, partied there for 11 months. Then came back here and decided that I wanted to go into culinary. Went to culinary school for 2 months. Didn't really like what I saw there. It was just too slow, and I wanted more action. So left school and then started working in kitchens, and then just progressed really quickly.
And was that a natural fit for you? Did you feel like the kitchen life really fit your personality? I mean, your skills.
When I started in the kitchen, I really enjoyed the party life after service.
Sure.
So everyone after a stressful day has to go and drink. So that's what we would do, and I liked that lifestyle at the time. And I liked the structure, and I liked the discipline, and I enjoyed the creative part of it because my whole life I felt like I was creative. I just didn't know how to
what the outlet was.
Exactly.
Genevieve, I want to ask you, Bestia, the rise of Bestia really predates this idea that LA is the greatest food city in America, which I have said multiple times in the Taste Podcast, and I love your city. Not living here.
Thank you.
I mean, how do you feel about that statement? Because I feel like it's a fair statement, but there's been a lot of great restaurants here. So, do you feel like you started something that has been kind of helping a lot of these? You have former employees who've moved on to better things and bigger things. I
mean, I don't know if it's hard from an insider looking out to say what you do. I mean, we just kind of do our thing, but I think that or I hope that maybe some of the menu items, especially that my husband put on, like gizzards and bone marrow and all those things, made chefs that loved those items and knew how to cook those items that felt like they weren't for the public or they would lose money on them, that we did okay with them, feel comfortable to allow themselves to do the things they wanted to do a little more, because they realized that the consumer in LA actually was okay with those items. Because remember, like, for a long time I'd go to an Italian restaurant and it'd be like fettuccine with like a chicken breast, a grilled chicken breast off. It was so weird.
Yeah.
And I don't really think any chef wants to make that. And I think that they were like, whoa, Bestia is selling these items and doing really well. And I love to do things like this. And I am excited to try to see if because, the people that come to my restaurant will eat this too. Mm-hmm. And I really think, in all honesty, it's the customers that allowed Los Angeles to become a great city.
And many of those customers were also chefs, though. Like, I feel like Bestia was the place where a lot
of chefs did come in.
Yeah, and that's cool.
But also it allowed, I think the customer was ready. And I think that actually has to do with the big immigrant population of people recognizing that their food is not just some weird foreign thing, but actually really delicious, and starting to go to these places and eat menudo and like not just the people from there, but outside.
Diners from like Orange County.
Exactly. Yeah. And so it's actually, I would like to give this moment to the LA diner for having an open mind and allowing chefs like us to do what we want to do.
Jonathan Gold as well.
Jonathan Gold was huge in that. I was thinking him, but it's sad for me to talk about him because I care for him him and his family a lot. He's not just a food critic, but he's and him and his family, all of them are incredible human beings, so it's hard for me to talk about them. But yes, he views people and everything in their culture is important, and not just fine dining, like tasting menu is what's important. And he is huge in opening up that whole world to allow consumers to go, I'm going to try that.
To like the print subscribers in Orange County, not just the blog or...
Yeah, not just the chefs, because we did have a lot of chefs, and we continue to, but also chefs' friends and people who, want to try something new and say, tonight I'm going to be open-minded, why not? And so...
Speaking of that, we're in your restaurant, and I'm seeing literally 50 pounds of lamb necks being broken down for service, and that's like probably one of several boxes. I mean, that lamb neck shawarma.
It's more than 50
No,
pounds.
We're looking at this gentleman who's working very hard.
That's 100... How many cases do you have here? Lamb neck? How much? 5, so 5. And it's 25 pounds each? 50 pounds. So we're at 250 pounds of lamb necks. But that's going to be good for probably 2.5 to 3 days.
Okay. Whoa, that's not that many days.
Yeah, so...
And that's for your lamb neck shawarma.
Yeah.
Dope. Like, I love the idea of using the lamb neck as not just like in a braise and like a soup, but in this like shawarma. What's this dish all about? Why is it one of your most popular dishes?
I think what people enjoy about it is kind of like eating it all together and not needing to use any utensils for it. So you just like grab the laffa and you take a chunk from the lamb neck and you add all the different spreads to it. So it creates like a nice, cool experience of like sharing something and eating it in like a peasant way. But to me, like using the lamb neck is very important just because it's an offcut of the animal. So I'm kind of like, I'm using things that I don't know if would go to waste because they would use it.
The market for lamb necks has increased a little bit.
Yeah, but that's because of Bestia in this place.
You're keeping the prices higher?
No, I don't allow my vendors to do that. Anytime they like jump with the price, I'm like, I buy too much, you gotta like drop the price, because if not, I'm gonna move to a different.
Are you buying them from Colorado?
We get it from Colorado.
Yeah. I mean, they're great products, and I wanted to know, like, you know, when you're switching this menu seasonally, and right now it's winter, and that's a challenging month, right? Or season, because a lot of the products are not in like full form, right? How do you negotiate the seasonality?
They are in full form. It just changes depending on how much it rains or how cold it is. So you might get lettuce that's a little bit more fibrous because it needs to grow in a colder environment. So it has more of like a texture to it.
Warmer environment, no?
Warmer? No.
You said colder.
Colder.
Lettuce grows in colder environments?
When it grows in a colder environment, the lettuce is actually harsher. Texture of it is harsher. That's why you have a lot of bitter greens and lettuces that are a little bit thicker in the winter. So they have less water in them. They almost are a little bit fibrous. So you need to adjust with your vinaigrettes or fruit that gets overripe because it's too cold. Persimmons, when it's too cold, they get really soft.
And you had an issue this morning when you saw your persimmons; they were too soft. You said
too soft. So I subbed it with Asian pears and then a couple different herbs. We tasted it and we love it.
Yeah,
so there's always adjusting around this season.
Let's talk about Bestia the cookbook. You probably had a lot of folks knocking on your door to write a cookbook, but you took some time, right? And my question is why is this cookbook so unique, and why did it take a little bit of extra time to publish it?
I feel like after a year or two of having a restaurant open, you don't really have enough to put on in a book because you didn't develop enough recipes. So we wanted to have all the recipes in the book of dishes that we had on the menu at some point in time. So after 5 years, I feel like we had enough content to put in the book, so it was the right time.
Genevieve, what was the process like of writing the book?
What was the process?
I mean, was it like to narrow down the recipes? Because your Bestie was switching recipes quite often.
I mean, we try to do a mix of everything. I think that we try to just pick things that, I mean, when we went through it, we had like a huge amount that we had to narrow down, and then we just try to pick a well-rounded amount. You try to pick through and it's well-rounded. Like when you do a playlist.
Yeah.
You try to, when you have a playlist and you want to be, say, like, everyone to enjoy the party.
Yeah.
You try to edit it that you have a little of everything, and maybe something a little more eclectic that people haven't heard, and then things that people like, that party song that everyone loves. And so that's kind of how we did it, like a playlist. You pick some of the greatest hits or things that are people order a lot of it, and some things that you just really personally love that are really delicious to you, that are personal favorites, or some things that are...
And the combination of dishes that are more difficult to like medium to easier, because you don't want to have a book that's full of difficult...
That was my question. Are people cooking from it? Are you getting like hit up on Instagram and seeing...
for sure.
That's awesome. What are people making? What are some of the dishes?
A ton of the salads from my chapters and...
so you're taking a little ownership there. I see.
Yes. A ton of desserts as well, but from my portion of the book, a lot of salads and a lot of the entrees. I think people are tending to not try to deal with the pastas as much because there's a lot of steps.
Yeah, it's fresh pasta, right? I mean, it's a fresh pasta. I mean, that's always...
I have no idea because I don't have Instagram or Facebook. I'm not on social media at all.
People are into your wedding cookies.
Oh, cool.
Poppy seed cake.
Oh.
Chocolate budino.
Nice to know.
Yeah.
And your ice creams.
I know some pear tart. I saw a couple of pear tarts.
Pear tarts
over the holidays, and the crostata I saw over the holidays from people showing me from their phone, from them being on social media and finding it.
Are you happy that you're off social?
Yeah, I never really was on it, and then I got on Instagram, and it becomes like a thing where instead of waking up in the morning and like playing with my daughter and like being really like with her and like, or just relaxing and like and seeing what's going on for the day, I would just scroll. And then I'll just scroll a little more, and then all of a sudden you're like, at the end of scrolling, you're like, whoa, I don't even know what I got out of this.
Empty calories, for sure.
It's definitely like drinking a giant big gulp of Coke. It didn't do anything. Maybe it made you temporarily happy, but it didn't actually add to your life.
I look at it, but it's work-related.
Yeah, he does. He's able to, I guess, I don't watch him on Instagram, so I'm assuming.
If it's my day off, I could see if someone plated the dish properly.
For a chef.
And then they get a phone call in the kitchen. I'm like, there's too much oil on that.
Oh, yeah? You do that. You have to. You look at the story, so it's like live at like 1 hour ago, 2 hour ago, 3 hours ago.
Yeah, he tells me if he sees something off with my stuff for me. So that's how I'll know, but I don't actually see it.
I'm like a cop at home checking all the photos.
That's great.
It's actually true.
It's really bad. I gotta stop. It's an obsession.
You work the line most nights?
I work the line.
Yeah. And that's something that's not going to change. It's important to you?
I enjoy it because my cooks are able to copy my movements. So I could tell someone how to do something versus show someone how to do something. I feel like that's the proper way to train a cook to cook exactly the way I like them to cook. I don't know. We'll see how long my body is going to be able to endure.
Keep running those laps above steam. Yeah.
We'll see.
Tell me the fireplace, the hearth is such a fundamental part of your restaurant. Bavel, we're at Bavel. Tell me, was that difficult to get permitted, and how important is that to your restaurant, in your words?
It's actually very easy to get permitted.
Your friends in New York are going to be really sad to hear that, because getting that is impossible in New York.
I don't think it's because of the size of the hearth or it being a hearth. I think in New York it's very difficult to get permits for wood-fired
grills.
It's just how old buildings are made. You just...
but us being in downtown, we don't have those issues. There's not that many people that are living around us.
But also the way the building is newer. And, this building's not old, but not new per se. But the structure's a little different from those really old New York buildings. And I think that's probably why they just, in order to do it, you would have to probably be in a newer building or have building at a certain code, which this one was.
I see. So it was already...
how far the hood needs to go. Because this is a two-story building, it's not a problem. But if you have something that's more than that, it's a little bit more difficult.
A 6-story building, you can't do it because the fire gets caught in the woods.
Yeah, and the whole building will...
The whole building will go up.
Yeah,
will go
exactly.
up, yeah. So tell me, like, when you were building this restaurant, was the hearth, was that super key to making your second restaurant what it is?
Yeah, many things that we have on the menu, we apply smoke to that product. So that was a big thing for me. I feel like cooking on coals or wood just makes something from being good to great. I don't know if it's, because that's how we used to eat. We were kind of attracted to that smoky flavor. Adds a nice amount of umami. And in Middle Eastern food, there's not that much umami that you could add into a dish, like fish sauce and anchovies and all of that stuff. It's more like spice related. And you could develop layers to get that umami, but added smoke is something that we work on with most of our dishes.
You mentioned Middle Eastern cuisine. We've had Yodam on the podcast. We've had Mike Salmanov and yourself. Now we've got 3 individuals who've really raised the profile of Israeli cooking in America. Are you hopeful that there'll be more Israeli restaurants in America? Are you seeing... there's other names too. I'm forgetting, but those are just 3 we had on our podcast.
Yeah, Alon Shaya.
Oh, we had Alon on ours too, so we had him as well. So we had 4. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I want people to be more familiar with that cuisine because it's a beautiful cuisine and it's a healthy cuisine. And I feel like in the United States, depending where you are, people don't know how to eat that well. So.
Shout out. Shots taken.
Why is this on on a roll this entire interview.
What? You don't agree with me?
Yeah, I mean, true, but I try not to judge.
I mean, getting good tahini is difficult, and if you're in like Madison, Wisconsin, right? Like it's a fundamental product. Or am I wrong? Like,
Yeah, I'm talking more about like a Mediterranean diet that's a little bit healthier.
I see what you're saying. Okay, interesting.
And Middle Eastern, because this restaurant is actually not Israeli; it's Middle Eastern. So I think what he meant is Middle Eastern cuisine, like Mediterranean. They're right next to each other. I mean, if you think about it, when you're in Morocco, you can take a half an hour, 45-minute boat ride to Spain. So it's right next to each other. That whole like heavy on the vegetables and the whole grains and the olive oil and spices and things that, rather than just heavy cream and butter, is it's just better for your body. So I think that it's just easier on your body. And I mean, we're not back in 200 years ago where people had meat and potatoes diet because you had food rations.
Right.
And when you stick to a diet that is a very old way of eating because of literal lack of food, you don't need, we get stuck with that culture, in my opinion. I feel like that's what happened, of that meat and potatoes diet of when there would be famine or nothing growing. And so, or access to areas that, no access to areas that had those things growing. And now we do. So I think that makes it possible for people to let go of that a little bit and venture into more healthier eating habits.
Great point. I want to hear about some of your favorite LA spots, that you want to. We've been in LA for a few days meeting with a bunch of chefs. So one
of my favorites is outside of LA, or two of my favorites.
Yeah,
I'll start
shout it out.
I love Taco Maria. That's in Costa Mesa, so close enough. Can't we just call it that? And
totally.
I consider that LA. On the way back, I don't consider it LA anymore because it's an hour drive.
Because while we're driving, we're like, this is not
but
LA.
It's worth
this
it.
is taking an hour and a half.
We make that drive once a month. It's amazing.
So we love Taco Maria. I love, it's again not in LA, I guess LA County, Manhattan Beach. I love Fishing with Dynamite from David. I can never pronounce his last name. Can somebody pronounce it for me?
David Lefevre.
Lefevre? Is that it?
I thought so.
It's Lefevre? Lefevre?
Lefevre is like the non-French way of saying it.
David Lefevre. I have no idea how to say his last name.
We made him French.
He might be.
I don't think so.
He might be French-Canadian.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's halfway there. Oh, man. I just offended Canada. Shit. We're all offending people at this point in this podcast.
We love Hatchet Hall.
Oh, yeah? I don't know it.
Brian Dunsmore is the chef there. It's like Southern cuisine with like California product. Very good. We love...
Lots of sushi.
Lots of sushi.
Too many to name. We'll go to like 5 or 6 sushi spots.
Broken Spanish for great Mexican food. Ray Garcia is
It's like Mexican LA.
There.
Food.
What else do we like?
We like a lot of things, but then when you're put on the spot, it's hard to remember.
But those are the ones that we...
This is your rotation.
We go there again and again.
Come on.
Jen Sushi.
No, but who else?
Sushi Jen, shout out.
Yeah.
So good.
I know.
Sushi Park.
Yeah, Sushi Jen, Sushi Park. There's a new one we like in Little Tokyo that we discovered.
Cassia in Santa Monica. Rustic Canyon.
Definitely
in Santa
Rustic
Monica.
Canyon. Best Burgers, Cassell's.
Oh, I stay at Hotel Normandy when I'm in LA.
Oh my God.
Just for
it's
that.
So good.
So good. And the breakfast is dope too.
Yeah, all the menu's good.
Yeah, it's a good place.
Patty melt is delicious.
Yeah.
The fries are good. The coleslaw, their wedge salad is delicious. Cassell's definitely once a month. I love to go to Cassell's.
Yeah? Is that on the way home?
No, I go out of my way, Women have their needs.
Yeah.
Here's Looking at You.
Yeah, in Koreatown.
It's
we
delicious
love
as well.
Here's Looking at You. Oh my God, he has a great brunch actually. Speaking of brunches, he has an amazing waffle. It's like an umami, like sour, sweet waffle. It's so good. His waffle's delicious.
We would go there more. I think because it's a little bit smaller, our daughter gets like agitated.
She just likes to run around and wreck the place.
She can't like sit down, where at Broken Spanish there's more space, so she's able to like run to the kitchen and back, and we just let her do it.
Bad parenting.
No, she'll be working.
It's better than giving the cell phone.
That's true.
And we do give the cell phone.
You know,
that's the last resort.
Actually, before we had a child, I would look at parents and I would be like, these parents are horrible. How do they give their kids
like iPads and cell phones
for the whole meal? And
horrible.
I would be like, this is insane.
I'm like, these people should not be parents.
And now we do the same thing.
Now I'm like, give me the iPhone immediately.
Yeah. Now we do.
What do you mean you're running out of battery?
Oh my god.
Where's our charger? Excuse me, do you have a charger? You know, it's terrible.
Ori and Genevieve, thank you for joining the Taste Podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Here's Anna speaking with Deb Perelman.
Deb, we have a reader question, and it involves the game F, Marry, Kill. Have you played this game before?
Perhaps. Not like sober in a podcast studio. But
Here's the question. F, Marry, Kill, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, York Peppermint Patties, and Kit Kat bars.
definitely, okay, I love York Peppermint Patties, and I know they're very divisive, so I'm going to have to say F them. Marry Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. They are, like, to me, just the finest. The finest of candies.
They would be a great lifelong partner.
And I actually, like, am not that into Kit Kats. I know there is so many flavors and there are so many ways to love a Kit Kat. But the strangest thing is I love all those wafer candies. Like, you know those grandma cookies with, like, the wafers and the hazelnut cream and the lemon cream? I love those cookies.
Like
I just
the artificial pink ones that are strawberry flavored.
Okay. But, like, there's also some, like, nice Italian imported ones, like, with, like, you know, little chocolate hazelnut paste thing. I mean, I love those kinds of wafer things. I just don't feel like the Kit Kat is the best example of them.
Have you tried any of the offshoot flavors, like any of the Japanese flavors?
I have
Wasabi, matcha.
I think I tried the matcha. I didn't really get the matcha from it, but I probably should have, like, cleansed my palate first because it's a very subtle flavor.
I mean,
Anyway.
there are hundreds of flavors. There's
I mean,
so many.
I dig the texture. I just feel like there's better out there with wafery candy bars.
And Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. It's hard to go wrong.
I mean,
with them.
let's make sure that we keep what's important in this conversation.
Thanks, Deb. The Taste Podcast is hosted by Matt Rodbard and me, Anna Heasel. The show is produced by Gabrielle Lewis, studio recordings by Pat Stango, theme music by Steve Rydell. Interviews are recorded live at Books Are Magic in Cobble Hill, Brooklyn, and at Penguin Random House Studios in Manhattan. Visit Taste online at tastecooking.com. Thanks for listening.